Hi everybody, welcome back to Teensy Vintage. This is Teresa. Today we are working in a small junk journal that I forgot I had. I found this when I was looking for something else the other day and figured, hey, why not do some work in it? As you can see, it's made up of looks like a Joanne flyer and then a political flyer. Yeah, all kinds of random stuff in there. Envelope. Junk journals are great. You can literally make them out of any paper or cardboard that you have. And so for this piece today, I'm going to start by using some matte gel medium to put down a layer of dictionary pages and a little bit of scrapbook paper. Just to give it a nice surface to work on. The nice thing about this is that not only is it a good surface, it also has, all that interesting text there that will be a nice background for when I put the focal piece, which is going to be the photograph of the two women over on the right and on the image that you can see. And we're just going to finish this up by adding another piece of paper here to cover up the edge. It's a little messy, but that's okay. Make sure everything is nice and dry before moving on to our next steps. Now I'm going to kind of play with my composition a little bit. Also cut off all the ragged edges. Make sure my page is nice and tidy. Always good to put a piece of paper underneath too, so I don't get any glue or paint or whatever on other pages in the book. So now I'm doing a little more playing with the bits and bobs. I'm also taking the Tim Holtz little distresser tool and kind of nicking the sides of this photo just to give it a more aged or weathered look. Now I'm trying to figure out what color we're going to use, and I end up going with Festive Berry, which is kind of a orangey red more than a red. But it ended up working for this piece. All I'm doing is adding some ink and drying it now. You'll see I keep using the photo to kind of see where it's going to go and what the background looks like in relation to it. So seeing if this particular scrap works, and it doesn't, and this die cut, nah, I don't like it either, but that's okay. I'll pull out a few more things. Half of a die cut. It's kind of a lacy floral piece. And I'm also going to use some stencils. So this is a Simon Says stamp stencil. And I'm going to give some blue lines here as a nice contrast to that red that we put down. I think this is Uncharted Mariner Distress Paint. Just some acrylic paint. And I'm going to also color the sides of the page. And then finally go in with a wet brush to kind of spread a little bit of the blue paint around, just to give it a little more interest. And to soften it a little bit. Again, you want to make sure everything's nice and dry before moving on. Once the acrylic paint is dry, it is dry and it won't move around. The Distress Oxide ink, however, will react to more water or medium So I'm playing with the photo. I tore off the very top because it was just some negative space that I really didn't need. Plus it makes it look a little grungier, which I like. And I've decided to go with this die cut. So I've put down a nice layer of the the matte medium and glued it on. Now you see the video looks like it has changed. That's because I let that dry overnight. Here we are the next day, and I'm trying to figure out what pieces are going to go around my focal point. And we're just playing with all kinds of stuff. Ephemera, dictionary pages. There are some, it's a gauge die cut, also from Tim Holtz. And I decide, you know what, this picture needs a little more grunginess. So we add even more roughness to the edges there, and I decide that I really like that gauge, so we're going to go with that. And now I'm using my glue stick because this gives me a little bit of open time, meaning I can move things, you know, I have a few seconds to move things around, which comes in handy because I do end up moving things just a little bit here and there. A napkin down so that I can put some pressure on the photograph so it doesn't end up with all my fingerprints all over it. And then we're gonna glue down the other scrap of dictionary paper and the gauge. I'm going to put the bottle of gel on top of it just to weigh it down while it dries. And while that's drying, I'm going to start looking for a sentiment to put on this page. I feel like it needs some text. So I'm going to go through a couple packs of different choices to see what would work and what doesn't. And I don't end up using anything from these two packs. I end up going with, I think, the Small Talk pad. So bear with me here. Eventually I'll find something I like. The nice thing about these small junk journals is that you can make a piece fairly quickly. It's very satisfying. It's very soothing. Come in, make some art, have a finished piece, and you're not sitting there for 2 hours. Now, sitting there for 2 hours sometimes is awesome, but tonight we just wanted to do something quick and fun. I'm going to use a little bit of a Stabilo Marks All pencil here in blue just to give a little more definition. And I've already got that brush out. I usually use a smaller brush, but I had that one out and it was already in the water, so we just used it in a very gingerly way. And it worked just fine. And this is looking good. I'm pretty happy with it, so we'll get out our date stamp and sign it, and that's it. Thanks for watching, y'all. Appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.